of light. Please welcome the Blackouts.
Please welcome your host, Hajar Yacoubi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, hello, and welcome everybody to what is already the second day of the International Vienna Climate and Energy Forum. It's so good to see you. You know what they say, the early bird catches the worm. And I think I'm looking at the early birds right here. It's so great to see you all here today. Now, we're starting this second day off with a very interesting session, which is Vienna meets youth solutions. And as this name suggests, the second session is all about how local cities meet youth participation and how the city of Vienna can provide insights into what sort of steps they're taking to tackle climate change, to fight it. It will also be about how Vienna upholds its position as the most livable city. So if so far you've been enjoying it here, then perhaps that's why. And of course, and I think that's the most important element that we will dive to in a little bit, it is also about how Vienna integrates youth perspectives in planning for the future. Now, before we start, I do have to mention one thing, because I unfortunately have to start with some bad news. Today is the second day of the International Vienna Climate Energy Forum, but it is also the last day, unfortunately, so that is a bit of a bummer. But in these upcoming 2 hours that we have, there will be 3 solution sessions that we'll have with amazing speakers, an amazing lineup of expertise, and can I say, amazing insights to be gained there. So I think we can get a big round of applause for that. And then in a little bit, thank you. I think we can start this event off right away because we have the privilege of having the very person that plays a very important role in upholding that livability here in the city of Vienna. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage the Executive City Councillor for Climate, Environment, Democracy and Personnel Vienna. Please give a big round of applause for Jürgen Czernohorski.
Morning.
Jürgen, welcome. I would say the stage is all yours, and please do share some insights with us before we continue into the conversation.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. First of all, it is a pleasure for me to say welcome to you in Vienna on behalf of the Viennese mayor. But second, I want to say thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of the things we do in Vienna. I think it is so important to do that on an international level because, first of all, I mean, it's a no-brainer for an audience like you are. But let me say it from my part. The tackling climate crisis is the biggest challenge of our time. Our futures depend on it, and therefore it's so important, even for a city, to cooperate on a global level in solidarity to combat climate crisis, to support international organizations like the UN, to support decision-making processes like the COP is working on. And even if these progress is somehow or sometimes underwhelming, it's even more important to work on that globally. But on the same side, it's so important for us, for every level, like cities, like regions, like national states, to do our part. And that is something Vienna does. Vienna phrased out climate protection programs since 1999. We are right now working on a big mission laid out in our climate guide, which is Klimafahrplan in German. Basically, it's a roadmap on our way to climate neutrality by 2040, and it consists of measures, more than 100 measures in every field, from mobility to the energy supply of the buildings to the green lands and so on. And I think that's what it's all about. If you have to tackle an issue, tackle a challenge, tackle a threat that big as the climate crisis, you need purpose-driven, brave politics. Politics that decide to go on a mission. I think that is something we learned and we tried in Vienna in the last decades. Vienna is a city that is considered the place with the highest living quality in the world, and I think it has something to do with these mission-based politics over a century. That is why we have this densely built public transport system. That is why more than a half of the city is covered by greenland. That is why there is a perfect drinking water supply, which is actually 150 years ago, which was a big mission that time. It was built in only 4 years. Now we have to consider, if we want to be the city with the highest quality of living in 20 years, in 30 years, we have to transform everything. And that's what we do by going on a mission once more. But the second thing, and therefore I'm happy to be part of this panel, is you can't do that top-down anymore. If you have the goal of changing everything, of changing the way we live, of changing the way we work, of changing the way we organize our economy, you have to work together with citizens. So you have to work on broad majorities. You have to work on climate justice, because a high quality of living for us in Vienna means a high quality of living, a good life for everyone, not only the rich. And therefore, it's so great to have the possibility to exchange with people in our city, with people from all over the world, especially with young people. And that's what this session is all about. And therefore, I'm really, really happy for being part of it.
Thank you so much. Can we get a big round of applause for Jürgen, everyone? Thank you so much. Can I just say, I really love how you called it, that it requires purpose-driven, brave leadership politics. And I think indeed, when I hear that, and I underline what you say, I think what that means is including everyone and having that conversation, especially with the people most affected. I mean, Jürgen, you look very youthful, but I don't think you're considered youth anymore. So
Gray hair everywhere.
Oh no, I didn't see. No, but it still looks super fresh. And I always say you're young at heart. But I do think that it's time to bring on our two youth representatives on stage for this session. So please, can I get your excitement and enthusiasm again by welcoming to the stage. They are both youth advisors to UNIDO. Please give it up for Paula Flores and Rami George Yacoub. Give them a big round of applause over here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Paula. Welcome, Rami. Please take a seat here with us. Please, you too, Jürgen. Now, I think you guys have a lot to discuss, so I think I'll just leave you to it, and I'll be there sipping some coffee tea. If you need me, call me over, but I'll leave it to you.
Thank you.
The great thing is we talked a lot already outside, but something that interests me at the beginning of our discussion is, given the chance you had in the last hours, in the last days, what is your major impression? What is the thing you take away from the last days?
Well, thank you so much, Jürgen. Thanks so much, Hajar, and everybody. It's really a pleasure to be with you all here. For me personally, I've got two major highlights. The first of which is, of course, the idea that and the fact that the Youth Solutions Days turned out to be such a great idea, dedicating 3 youth-focused days in the forum. I quite enjoyed the time with my fellow young leaders and dear friends. I learned a lot from each and every one of them. My second major highlight is, of course, our UNIDO Youth Guidebook on Meaningful Youth Engagement in the Industrial Sector, which has been long awaited. We launched that yesterday, and we are publishing it this year, so please keep an eye out. I urge you all to take a look. I think it has something for everybody. It can help you with your work, whether you are a young leader, a young person, whether you are a working professional, whether you're a decision maker. It's got something for everybody. So keep an eye out. But I'll pass to Paula. What about you?
Thank you. I think that I have 3 major highlights. First of all is I'm really impressed by the Solutions Day and also the forum itself, because we have seen that young people are not only climate activists, but we are a generation of driving action, and that has been shown in all the different projects, social, entrepreneur, policy, research, that has been shown during these days outside. The second one is the meaningful youth engagement in all the spaces where youth where in the Youth Solutions Day, but also in the forum, all the people or the young generation is asking for meaningful youth engagement. One of this example is the guidebook we presented with UNIDO, but also not only the spaces to be taken into account, but that the spaces we be taken into account could have like really KPIs, but really touchable results in the short and long term. That's really, really important. That's what young people highlighted in all the spaces. And the third one, and I like the most, is the opportunities and the intergenerational space we got here. We got many people from different countries, from different levels, from different roles in society, being part of this event and having a network, having opportunities to connect, are channeling all the space to future projects, future investments. I have seen one in my region. We got a click with an organization, and they will be funding some startups in Latin America, for example. And this is what I like the most of the spaces like these ones.
Oh.
So I will go with my first question, Jagger. We have seen many things in Vienna, in the Vienna context, especially related with resilience and climate change. I would like to know what role do you have in the decision-making processes, and how is it ensured that the young voices are really, really heard?
I would start with the answer concerning my role. I would say I am one among many others, and that's why the mission-based approach is so important, that I said before, because it's something we agreed upon as the whole city government, the city council, which is the city parliament. They adopted our climate guide, our goals of climate neutrality by 2040. Subsequently, we changed the whole governance within the city structure. Vienna is a place with a really, really strong city structure, a broad network of municipal agencies, experts, and so on. There is one single point of governance agency responsible for the supervising of all the goals, all the programs all over the city. And my role is therefore organizing that everyone keeps on the same page and everybody also keeps on the same pace, because we do a lot and we try to do it fast. But what is very important is that this is the top-down part. And as I said before, it's so important to work together with citizens. So the climate guide, the Klimafahrplan, has core principles, and one of the most core principles, one of the 7 core principles, is working together with everyone, making climate politics a matter of social justice. And it means we have to especially work together, we have to especially ask underrepresented groups, because they are the ones there with voices to raise, and we want to help them raising their voice. We have to we work on participatory budgets. We work on citizens' assemblies. We work on projects in the neighborhoods, and especially we want to work with young people, because working together with young people means working together with people that are already aware of the climate change and the effects of climate change on their lives. And if we want to achieve our goals, we have to make the ecological movement to a majority. And making something a majority means not raising the index finger, but stretching out the hand. Is talking about the fears of the people, talking about the needs of underrepresented groups, talking about those who are affected most. And I think that is the most important thing right now. It's not about talking about denial or not, but it's talking about involvement of everybody.
Yeah. No, sounds great. I'll perhaps transition into something a little bit different, COP and the negotiations. International Vienna Energy and Climate Forum is one of the biggest milestones before COP, and as we head to COP28, I'm saying we as in, I think everybody shares this with me. I think we have so much mixed emotions, anticipation, hope, so many different things going in our heads and our minds. But usually, unfortunately, the negotiations and especially the implementation of those negotiations fall short of our expectations, at least. For example, with the case that's happening currently with the loss and damage funding negotiations, still developing and developed countries cannot reach convergence. So what do you think, from your own perspective, that cities like Vienna can do to sort of push the climate and energy transition in this context?
My perspective is, first of all, also full of mixed emotions towards COP. First of all, I'm deeply convinced that this is the level negotiations have to take place. This is the place where we have to move forward. But on the other hand, I see I see something. Cities, for example, are the places that are afflicted the most by the effects of climate change. But on the other hand, cities are not at the heart of international considerations. And therefore, we as cities face international frameworks that are sometimes even counterproductive, but most of the times not very supportive for the work we have to do in cities, because cities, I'm really convinced of that, are not the problem when it comes to tackling climate change, but cities are the solutions. So we have to raise our voices, we have to share our thoughts, we have to connect and to work on a new solidarity of cities, to do lobbying work like Vienna does that on very many international levels, like Eurocities or energy cities, forever, and so on. But on the other side, I think cities just have to deliver when others don't. Cities like Vienna are within Europe. It's a rich city. All the knowledge is here. All the technologies are here. The money is here. We just have to move, and even if that means we have to move first. So I think the most important thing is not making the international progress a waiting dilemma, especially when you talk from a perspective of a city like Vienna. We just have to be front runners, and so many other cities have to do so. And then I think we can, on the other hand, ask to be heard.
Yes. Sounds great. Perhaps would you mind if we ask you another question on what the city of Vienna is doing to meaningfully engage youth?
Yes. Do you mean what projects we do to engage young persons? Like, I mean, first of all, I really think that youth involvement has been at the heart of citizens' involvement for a long time now. So this is maybe something special about Vienna. It's not only about involving people in planning processes, involving people in, I don't know, the refurbishment of parks and so on, but especially involving young people. So a few years ago, there has been the Werkstatt Junges Wien, which was a huge participation process involving more than 20,000 young people, in order to phrase out a strategy for the city, for the work, for the future for the young people in Vienna. So the young persons in Vienna were they gave us the mission. We didn't do it, gray-haired people in the city hall made the vision and the mission for young people. We asked them, more than 20,000 young persons were involved, and now there is a plan, a Jugendstrategie, so a strategy for youth work in Vienna. And the things that were the most highlighted, that the young persons wanted most, all had something to do with climate protection and mitigation. Mm-hmm. So parks, green areas, public transport, all the things young people want, on the one hand, are the things we talk about here when it comes to tackling climate change on the other hand. So therefore, this work with the young people was a boost for our work on climate politics. And right now there is a youth parliament with €1 million budget every year, so they have their own projects, and it has its own life. And as you can imagine, it's climate protection mitigation projects again that come out of this parliament every year.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for those efforts. And
do you have a hint for me or a clue how we can involve young persons even better?
Perhaps we can share a bit of our work that we've done in the UNIDO Youth Guidebook for Meaningful Youth Engagement. I'll perhaps talk about two segments. The first of which is the day-to-day work, the projects. Young people need to be involved in every stage of the project life cycle with tools like youth-focused risk assessments, youth-focused analysis, youth-focused budgeting. I think this is very important personally. I also think that it's very critical to have youth representation within the teams working on certain projects or work segments. So that's sort of my first segment of my answer. My second would be, I think, the elephant in the room, and we have had a lot of discussions during the forum. It's youth and decision making. We think it's super important to have frequent consultations of young people to hear their voices and to know what they think of the work that is being done. We can take this up a notch by creating youth advisory boards or youth advisory groups. I think almost each and every colleague I've talked to throughout the past couple of days, I was telling them, I really would like to see a youth advisory group or board in companies, in organizations, in the government, ministries, cities, everywhere. They can be a great way of representing youth. They can be very diverse and represent the wide spectrum of our societies. And they can also be a constant and consistent way of having young people on the decision-making tables, basically. My final point, and I'll then pass to Paula, is we need to build young people's capacities in the decision-making process. So if we want young people to lead in 2 or 3 years, we have to start helping them acquire the skills and giving them the tips they need right now. Sort of shadowing opportunities with decision makers, spending time with decision makers, knowing how things work with high stakes at hand. So yeah, I'll stop right here, and perhaps Paula, you have something to say.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rami. In the context of the guidebook, I think, first of all, I advise you read the guidebook when it is already on live. Why? Because it was built for youth, by youth, for the UN, for the UNIDO office, but for all the UN offices that want to take inspiration and want to really do something and plan something based on what we thought, because it was really intergenerational, and the people who built the guidebook are from every part of the world. I am from Bolivia. There are many people from South Asia, Africa, Europe that was engaged, and it was a lot of effort. So please read it, and also the people here. My advice in doing local actions, I think that the local actions and the role that cities play in climate change are really, really important. First of all, I want to thank you because you say that you were like hearing people, young people in the spaces. I would recommend you to continue doing so and more frequently, because the best way to engage with young people is taking young people into the table of decision-making or the project development at the same level of decision makers, because we as young people, we are not only victims of climate change, but we are a youth-driven action who has ideas, projects, and a lot of insights for what politicians or decision makers are doing in our cities. So it's really crucial for you to hear them and continue doing so. But also in this scenario of hearing young people, what is really, really important is diversity. So make sure the diversity to be included. That's also what we put in the guidebook. Why? Because you need young people from different young ages to be part of this, from different kind of youth organizations. Could be climate ones, energy, transportation. So that's really important. Also, people from rural areas, people with disabilities, needs to be taken into account. In the same context of hearing is the collaboration space. There is a phrase in my country, is la unión es la fuerza. That means union is the strength to the change. So collaboration and intergenerational collaboration is really important. What I mean is that local municipalities can do a lot more and quicker with collaboration with universities, even young people, entrepreneurs, local companies. So there is more power and more quicker actions to really have impact in short term. So please do it. That's also what we put. And my last advice would be, we had a chapter on the guidebook based on data. Data is really, really important, especially for young people who are developing projects in the local communities. Many times in my region, we don't have it. No open, there is no information. So please make sure that information could be available for everyone. Have like open information where people could get informed, could know where are the problems, where are the challenges, and could give you advices and take action for the city of Vienna.
Thank you very much for your advice. I'm sure if you are ready for it, that we could learn even more when we stay in contact. I promise I'll read the guidebook, because it's one of the most important things politicians should do all over the world. Just listen to the experts.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we have a big round of applause for Jürgen, Paula, and Rami? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This, I think I could have like let you go on for a little longer, and then you'd still be here discussing it. But I think this was so good, and I think you mentioned so many important points about inclusivity, but also how you structurally engage young people. I heard you mention that, Rami. So can you have like sounding boards of young people that can always structurally be there to help? I saw you nodding, Jürgen. So I think some good input was shared here. Now, to everyone listening in, if you think, oh my God, is this already the end of this session? I want to hear more solutions and insights. Don't worry, because in a little bit we will continue with the next solution session. But before I talk about that, there is one important remark to make about the closing ceremony for today. Now do pay attention, because this is interesting. Because if you can't get enough of Vienna, don't worry. At the closing ceremony, we will have a performance by the Wiener Sängerknaben, and I hope I said that right in German. But it's a Vienna boy choir, and they are the most famous choir in the world, dating all the way back actually to the Habsburg monarchy, where they were performing for the emperor and the empresses. And today they will be performing for you, so you're sort of in the same league. So do make sure that you're here at the very closing of today to see that. With that being said, can I once more have a big round of applause for Rami, Paula, and Jürgen? Thank you so much. If you want, you can take your mic back in. Thank you so much.